after testing the Pixel 10 Pro XL, after testing the Pixel 10 Pro. Hello, we're in Ghent to test the Pixel 10. Let's see what it's worth. We'll see if it's as good as its predecessor, maybe even better, and also, well, if it's better than the iPhone. Let's get started. A quick unboxing, just like its predecessors, the Pixel 9 series, and just like its bigger siblings, the Pixel 10 Pro and Pro XL. We're going to have the same design as last year and as its bigger siblings, meaning the Google Pixel Touch. That's what I decided to call it. I think it's really nice, and honestly, I don't mind that they kept the same design. Well, the same design, but you'll still notice on the back in the camera module area that an extra camera sensor has made its appearance. We have a smartphone that's lightweight, made of aluminum with glass on the front and back, protected by Gorilla Glass Victus 2. It's rated IP68. You'll notice the weight of 204 grams, which is very well distributed. It feels great in the hand. You can go all the way around the phone. In short, we have a cute little smartphone that feels good in the hand and is very high quality, with a fingerprint-resistant coating, which is a real delight. I love that. You'll also find a microphone on the top, a completely clean left side, a right side with the power button and volume controls, a USB Type-C port and speakers on the bottom, and on the top edge, the second speaker. In short, it's still the same, but you'll see that after using quality materials and quality assembly, we have a smartphone that is truly high-end. The regular iPhones, and we're not talking about the Pro models and the regular Samsungs, not the Pros either, should watch out. As for the technical specs, they're identical to its bigger siblings, the Pro and Pro XL, with just a few exceptions. One, to be precise. You'll have both nano SIM and eSIM. Like its bigger siblings, it also features 5G, of course. We'll have Wi-Fi 6E. That's the small difference compared to its bigger siblings, which have Wi-Fi 7. We'll have 6th generation Bluetooth version 6.0. In short, it's identical with dual speakers. As for 5G, the reception is absolutely perfect. We have excellent 5G. Honestly, phone calls are outstanding. You can hear the person on the other end very clearly, and they can hear your voice just as well, with background noise very effectively reduced. When it comes to Wi-Fi, I was getting the maximum speed of my fiber line at home for both downloads and uploads. I have a Wi-Fi 6E modem, so that helps. You'll also get about 14 meters of range with Bluetooth, no dropouts or crackling. I tested it with different devices from competing brands. There were absolutely no issues. I connected it to 3 vehicles from European brands. Here too, Android Auto did its job very well. Now, if we talk about the speakers, they're the same quality as its bigger siblings, meaning you get very good sound that you can turn all the way up. It won't distort. You'll be fully immersed in your movies, series, and video games. Anyway, let's move on. All right, a little tradition. Let's talk about Android 16 and its 7 years of updates. Will it hold up? Yes, absolutely. There's no problem at all. It will be able to last those 7 years of updates because it has excellent benchmarks. You'll see later. In any case, we have a smartphone with Android 16 where we get all the artificial intelligence features just like its bigger siblings. You'll get photo editing, translation assistance, editing for all your emails, help with Gemini, and so on. Don't worry. Another really nice thing which I haven't mentioned in the other videos is that when you buy a Pixel, you get 1 year of Google One for free. Yeah, that means you get a year of Google One with 2 terabytes of cloud storage plus Gemini Pro. And these are things that really should be pointed out. Of course, you'll also get the photo coach feature. You'll also have the Add Me function and the translator built right in, meaning you can translate conversations with someone else instantly during calls. So, as I mentioned before, I was going to add little parts as the videos go on. All right, now let's move on to the screen. We're looking at a 6.3-inch OLED display with a refresh rate that goes up to 120 Hz. However, this time it can only go down to 60 Hz. Yeah, it'll be either 120 or 60. Now, if you leave it on automatic, honestly, it manages that very well. You'll get 3000 nits of brightness, HDR10 plus support. In short, what more could you ask for? Well, I don't know, but in any case, it does its job extremely well. We have an excellent screen with a resolution of 1080 by 2424. This screen has deep blacks. Honestly, not once did I experience any stutter or slowdown. We had a screen that was honestly beautiful, smooth, with natural tones and vibrant colors when you want them to stand out. We have a screen that frankly is a real treat. There wasn't a single moment when I thought, hey, the screen is bugging or there's a problem with it. No, on the contrary, we have a screen that has been smooth every time, whether it's for social media, browsing the internet, or simply working and writing messages. In short, pure happiness. And then the little extra touch, well, yes, it's that haptic feedback that I love. In terms of performance, no surprises, we find the Google Tensor G5 made in partnership with DeepMind and built by TSMC. Still with 65% more intelligence and 35% more performance. In short, it's the same as its bigger siblings. And why change a winning team? And yet, there is a small difference. You'll still have the Titan M2 chip for security, but you'll get 12 gigabytes of RAM instead of 16 gigabytes of RAM in this little Pixel 10. Yeah, it's a very small difference. The difference we won't complain about because it gets excellent benchmark scores and honestly it's very powerful. For storage, you'll have either 128 or 256 gigabytes. In any case, on the Antutu bench, it gave me a score of 1,353,685 points. Let's just say that's a very good score and it's very close to its bigger siblings. If we look at Geekbench, we get a score of 2,267 on the single core and a score of 5,196 on the multi-core. What does that mean? Well, it means it's going to suit 99% of people right now. Whether it's for taking photos, social media, browsing the internet, or working, there won't be any issues. It'll be as smooth as you want. You won't have any problems. It will easily last its 7 years of updates without any trouble. Why? Because this time, well, as I mentioned in previous videos, Google has made a chip that, let's say, works in the same way as Apple does. That means its Android was built around this Google Tensor G5 chip, so it's better optimized and therefore more future-proof. We'll be able to use our pixels for a longer time. In any case, for the GPU score, this time it was a little lower, but as I said in previous videos, well, there were some surprises. We had a score of 3069. In short, we have a small smartphone that's honestly very nice, with which you'll be able to work, use your social networks, messaging, phone calls, etc., all the main functions. And when it comes to video games, well, here too, Asphalt 9 loads almost instantly. The game looks great, it's smooth, and honestly, there's nothing to complain about. If we move on to Genshin Impact, I was able to play with high graphics settings, 60 FPS, and no frame drops. The temperature was also very well controlled, staying around 49 to 52 degrees depending on the settings you choose, whether you go for maximum or not. But I also tried Fortnite, and there, to my great surprise, we were often at 63, 65 FPS, sometimes even 67, even though the temperatures were still at 53 degrees. In short, it was honestly very, very smooth. I was actually really surprised. If we move on to Call of Duty, there too, the game was super smooth, no frame rate drops, so no FPS drops, no graphic glitches or pixelation. Honestly, it was really impressive. I keep saying honestly because I was surprised every time to see what this little pixel was capable of, even with 4 gigabytes less RAM. It just goes to show optimization is key. Time for a little break at a rest area. Yeah, there are lots of little parks like this in Gan where kids can play and you can relax. There are benches to sit on, tables to eat at. It's pretty nice. If you want to have a drink or something, just bring your own little bottle. Of course, respect nature and throw your trash in the bins, but these are the kinds of rest areas where you'll want to take a few souvenir photos for your social media or just for yourself. And speaking of which, let's talk about the camera side of this Google Pixel 10. On the back, there's a main 48 megapixel sensor with an f1.7 aperture, which is a wide-angle lens. A second ultra-wide-angle sensor with 13 megapixels and an f2.2 aperture, and a third telephoto sensor with 10.8 megapixels, f3.1 aperture, and 5 times optical zoom. On the front, there's a 10.5 megapixel sensor with an f2.2 aperture. All these lovely little cameras can shoot up to 4K at 60 FPS, which is really, really good. It's also packed with artificial intelligence. The photos will be retouched every time to give us the best possible result. In fact, the artificial intelligence won't smooth you out. You'll get natural tones, and honestly, the photo will look natural. It's just the artificial intelligence analyzing the scene to give you the best lighting. It will do, the device will take several photos and give you the best one out of all the shots it took and so on. A bit like with the added feature that's still there, or if you shoot in slow motion, it will increase the frame rate to give you the best possible slow motion. In short, we have artificial intelligence that goes even further. When it comes to selfies, the photos really have a very natural tone. There's no smoothing, and I still had my ugly face. So honestly, it was really, really good. That's already twice I've said honestly. Let's move on to the third one, which is portraits. It's exactly the same as selfie mode, and you get a bokeh effect that isn't smudgy. For macro shots, it's automatic. Once you point at an insect or a flower, it recognizes it right away, and all you have to do is take your photo. It happens almost instantly. As for night photos, the scene is relit. You get a scene that's just bright enough, not too bright, but with enough detail. And that's really nice. Now, if we look at the zoom capabilities, here too there's a bit of a difference, just like in the photo specs. You'll only be able to zoom up to 20 times. Is that a bad thing? No. We even have a 20 times zoom with artificial intelligence that enhances the image to bring back detail. Whether it's from ultra wide angle to 20 times zoom, the color rendering stays very consistent. You'll get detail in every photo, whether it's ultra wide angle, 2 times zoom, or 5 times zoom. You might say, well, that's normal for a telephoto lens, but even at 10 times zoom, it's still really, really good. And where you might get a bit of noise in the image with the 20 times zoom, the artificial intelligence steps in to correct that and give us the best possible photos. So here's what I suggest we do. Let's go and take a comprehensive little tour around Gone. There'll be crisp 1080p video quality and so on. The high quality videos as usual. Then we'll come back here to this very spot, talk a bit more in depth about video production, and after that we will smoothly move on to the next important part of our discussion. Testing the front camera of the regular Google Pixel 10. As you can see, we have superb image quality along with very good sound. I hope you enjoyed this little tour of Gone. As you saw, we got some excellent photos. As for the 1080p, it's very well stabilized. There's a lot of detail, and honestly, it's really, really clean. And just like the 4K 30 FPS, we have a very nice 4K 30 FPS with lots of detail. There are no stutters or slowdowns, no pixelation. We're looking at a really beautiful 4K. If you want to improve it, you just need to switch to 4K 60 FPS to get something smoother, with more detail that you can easily edit later in CapCut or Power Director. And this little smartphone, well, it was able to handle CapCut and Power Director in 4K 30 FPS, so there's nothing to criticize on that front either. In short, we have a really great camera setup. The iPhone should start to get worried, especially with what's coming next. Battery life is handled by a 4970 mAh battery. That's close to 5000 mAh for a compact smartphone. You can imagine that the battery life is going to be very good. We have 30-watt fast charging, which will charge the smartphone to 55% in 30 minutes. Expected to take about 56 or 57 minutes to fully charge. Of course, you also get Pixel Snap wireless charging, which charges at 15 watts. It will take a little longer to charge that way. However, and this is a nice surprise, I got excellent battery life. I can tell you that this smartphone is in my top 2 for battery life. Why is it my top 2? Well, my number 1, as you know, is the Realme GT7 with its outstanding battery life of over 24 hours. And here it comes close to challenging the GT7. We have a screen-on battery life of 19 hours and 45 minutes, and there was still 20% left. That means if you go below 20%, down to around 10%, you'll easily reach 20 hours and 30 minutes, or even 21 hours. As I said, it's my number 2 when it comes to battery life. There's nothing to complain about. We have a really, really good phone. You'll see that the conclusion is actually quite positive. With a price starting at 899 euros for the 128 gigabyte version, I'd like to remind you that you get 1 year of Google One included when you link your Gmail account. So, as a result, you'll get 2 terabytes of cloud storage, free Gemini Pro, and so on. You can also get it for 999 euros for Belgians for the 256 gigabyte version. What flaws was I able to find with it? Well, actually, it doesn't have any, and that's a really good thing. That's rare. Yes, it's true, we could have had Wi-Fi 7 like its bigger siblings. We could have had a front camera sensor with 42 megapixels like its bigger siblings. These are little things you could criticize, but they're not real flaws. Why? Because there's artificial intelligence at every level. We have a smartphone that will help us with photos, that will help us with our emails, with our messages. It will help us at every level, even with our calendar. In the end, you're going to have a smartphone that is actually better than some brands, I would say. And Apple can clearly go to bed with its iPhone 16. I really hope they'll come out with something great with the iPhone 17, because this Google Pixel 10 is worlds, even a universe ahead of the iPhone 16. Why? Quite simply because it has better battery life, excellent battery life. That's its biggest strength. As I just said, it's my number 2 when it comes to battery life. But on top of that, it has a telephoto lens for the same price as an iPhone 16. So clearly the iPhone 16 can go to bed, and I think the iPhone 17 will be able to go to bed too. We have a smartphone that is perfectly optimized. In short, we have something that's absolutely top-notch. For once, I've clearly come across a smartphone in this price range where it's hard to find anything to criticize, because in the end, we have Wi-Fi 6E, the latest generation of Bluetooth, excellent battery life, excellent photos, and a very good screen. So yes, it's true, we could have had LTPO that goes down to 1 Hz. We would have saved even more energy and pushed the battery life even further. But in any case, this Pixel 10 is well on its way to being the smartphone of the year, at least in its price range. I hope you enjoyed this little video. I hope you enjoyed this tour of GAN. Feel free to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and of course let me know what you think of this Pixel 10, which in my opinion is just excellent in every way. See you